So I had the opportunity this week to be on a panel with the E-Safety Commissioner and a few other incredible humans and talk about what business leaders need to do now to deal with things like deep fakes and new forms of online abuse, and some amazing research out of the Australian National University about all of these statistics and the way in which technology is being used to facilitate cyber abuse and how workplaces need to go across it. And it reminded me a lot in the evening where we talked about young men and radicalisation and online misogyny leading to offline behaviours, especially criminal behaviours, of being in America and then Canada and running into the nicest young man. I couldn't find my way to the bus. I had no idea where I was going. I couldn't figure out the system because I had to buy a ticket somewhere else, but not at the bus station. And he helped me out and he guided me through all of it. And then we were riding along and he was super curious why I was there. And I said, I'm researching domestic and family violence prevention. He was really curious about what he could do and what role he could play. And, he talked a lot about the need for kind men and strong men. And then he started talking about that's why we need Donald Trump and guns and the ability to protect each other and strength. And I was floored. I didn't know how to engage in the conversation. I kind of curiously asked her, what makes you think that's what we need? What? He said, we need people to challenge the system because the system's broken. And I went, well, maybe. And he said, well, Trump's going to do that. Well, what about the allegations and what about, other men that are in Trump's sphere and, some of the pieces around him? And he kind of went, no, that's all, it has to be all false because, he's a strong man and strong men wouldn't engage in anything and wouldn't have these allegations against them. And I just had no idea that as far as Edmonton in Canada, which is admittedly close to America, but there will be people so fervent about what needed to happen and that strength was not the same as the thing that was making them feel isolated. And yet he talked about, feeling alone and traveling a lot and wanting to engage with people because he didn't have male role models around him. And I guess where I'm going with this is there was a point raised by a couple of the panelists in the evening session. It was about isolation and it leading to troll behavior and radicalization and loneliness and entitlement to people creating things like deepfakes of their colleagues because they felt like they were entitled to date them, that they were entitled to have power over them. And when we could be using simulations and AI tools to create amazing immersive knowledge checks, but instead 98% of them or more are being used to create sexualized material of women, well, that's really concerning. And it comes back to this ongoing piece of isolation and loneliness. And I think that is what stands out for me in all of this, is that there's such a knife edge between the use of technology, but also men's behavior and in these pieces. And yeah, hopefully you take something from that.